Good afternoon. Today is the 8th of November, and for once this week, I don't seem to have been defeated by an incredibly slow internet connection or a lack of light or the weather in making this video. So I think this one's actually going to go out on time, which is wonderful. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about the proposed merger between Fiat, Chrysler Automobiles, and I think they just call it Peugeot Société Anonyme, something like that. Anyway, these two companies have decided they're going to merge, and we'll look at some facts behind that now. I couldn't find a Fiat Chrysler or Peugeot Citroën product to sit in today, so we're going to have to make do with my mother's 2017 Mercedes C200 Sport Estate. Obviously, at some point, Daimler Chrysler were one company, and so was Mercedes. Would have been the same company as some Chryslers between about 1998 and 2008. It's a very tenuous link, but anyway, the news has come out this week that FCA, Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, have been looking for a partner to do a merger with, and they found that in Peugeot Citroën. Peugeot Citroën or PSA, depending on how you want to set it, really. They did try to merge with Land Rover, but that didn't work out for them, so they found Fiat Chrysler. There's a huge amount of brands and a huge amount that I could talk about, but let's look at the state of both of these companies first individually and see what they're like. First of all, Fiat Chrysler. Now, they have 10 different brands. I had to make a list of these so I don't miss out any. Abarth, Fiat, Alfa Romeo, Lancia, Chrysler, Ram, Jeep, Dodge, SRT, and Maserati. They have about the same amount of employees worldwide as Peugeot Citroën. Last year's profits were £3.1 billion, and they made about 4.6 million cars. They sell cars pretty much all over the place. Obviously, in America, there are brands like Chrysler and Dodge and Jeep are more popular, and over in Europe, brands like Fiat are very strong. However, over here, we've noticed, and I'm sure a lot of you have as well, that Fiat's not been doing so well. Their market lineup is very old-fashioned. They don't really seem to have any new stuff that's on the horizon. Alfa Romeo is suffering from the same kind of thing, although the Giulia and Stelvio are very good. They are wonderful cars. I'd happily drive one of those, of course. Maserati, again, that they've got a bit of an aging lineup too, although I think their Levante looks very nice, I have to say. There's always been in my top 10 best-selling cars analysis I do every month, a real sense that, Abarth, Chrysler, all these sort of different brands that FCA have. Not that Chrysler sell cars over here anymore. They finished that about 2014. Something needs to change, and obviously, it has. Yes, I'm not a huge fan of a lot of these products. I don't think they're particularly well made or particularly reliable a lot of the time. Jeep is my exception to the rule, possibly. They have a longer warranty and anything else. They're doing pretty well, actually, considering they've not brought out a new product for a couple of years over here. They're doing pretty well. I have to say, it's not my type of thing exactly, but I could see why people like them. Planet Auto like the Jeeps that they've reviewed. A friend of mine's got a Renegade Trailhawk, which is great. So yes, possibly that's a strong thing. They are obviously very profitable in America. But brands like Ram are doing very well. All the trucks, some of the Dodge SUVs are doing well. Chrysler as a brand itself, bizarrely, isn't doing very well. They've only got a few models on sale, and that obviously is a problem for them. Lancia only sells one model now, which is the Upsilon. That used to be sold in Britain as a Chrysler Ypsilon until about 2014. But obviously you can't buy one over here anymore. It's a variation on the Fiat 500 platform, that one, as most of the smaller Fiats actually are, and that is a very old platform. The Fiat 500 itself, it's a car that I've driven, and I drove the worst possible version, which is a 1.2 automatic. It's a robotised manual gearbox, and that gearbox is atrocious. Every time as well, the 1.2 engine, which is called a fire engine, it's a unit that sort of a design date backs to the 1980s. Every time it has to meet new European emission standards, it loses some horsepower. And it's at about 68 at the moment, I think, and it's horrendous for trying to go up hills. You can't get the twin air anymore, Fiat 500, you can't get the diesel or the 1.4. You have to get the 1.2 fire engine unless you want to go for one of the sportier Bath ones. But again, the design date's from 2007. It's a very, very old design. The platform was introduced on the first generation Panda, which is about 2004, I think. It is really time for that to be changed, and possibly Peugeot Citroën can help them do that. I think the news is rather more optimistic at PSA. Peugeot and Citroën are undergoing something of a renaissance, particularly Peugeot. I'm not interested particularly in their cars between about, I don't know, years sort of 2000 and about 2015. They don't interest me really. The Peugeot 7 is one of the worst cars I've ever driven. I reviewed one of those on my channel back in February, and it has had quite an interesting response. That car was terrible. There's no two ways about it. It was a terrible car. And I hope that there's going to be, not so many of these awful things turning up in the future. It was awful. Fortunately, the new design direction I got, the new 208 looks good. The 5008 and 3008 look very nice. The 308 I don't think is great, but obviously it'll be replaced at some point. Yes, they're doing well. They've got a new E208, I think it's called. And of course, this now extends out to what's happening with Vauxhall. They were, I think, a good brand of car. They have been for years, but with so many things have been going on, particularly as part of General Motors, they hadn't been doing so well. And that Corsa E that I think is about to finish sales now, that had been on sale since 2006, or the basis of it really, because the Corsa E was just an update of the Corsa D that was based on the Fiat Punto platform as well. And Fiat did stop selling the Punto last year after a disastrous crash test. Vauxhall have very much updated the Corsa, and the Corsa E is not a bad car, but what is going to be coming out very, very soon, because as you might have noticed if you watched my top 10 best-selling cars up to 2019, the Corsa is no longer in that, and it normally is. So that means I think production has stopped, and we're not getting too many new ones coming in anymore. So that could be very good news. I mean, it's all new engines, all new design. Again, an electric version's being launched as well. What is it, the Corsa E or something, I think. That should be quite successful for them. The brands of PSA, Peugeot, Citroën, Vauxhall, Opel and DS. And DS, they didn't do very well for a while, and then they launched DS Crossback, which is a small SUV that everybody wants. So, that's not doing too badly for them either. So they have a lot of potential, I think. They have potential. If they can make their cars a little bit sort of more reliable than they have been, if they can possibly get round this irritating thing that they do in a lot of their models, which Vauxhall haven't done yet, but Peugeot and Citroën both do this, which is putting all the heating and ventilation controls within the touchscreen. I'd be very grateful, but I think they'll appeal to more people if they do that, but that's just me. So obviously one of the things that's been talked about a lot is what's going to happen to Vauxhall, who are going through their second change of ownership since 2017, effectively. They're just becoming part of a larger thing. And I think people are a bit concerned about Ellesmere Port. They're concerned about the IBC plant at Luton, as what's going to happen to that, where the Vauxhall Vivaro is made. They're going to be they're very concerned about that. And I hope that they do not have to make job losses in this country, whether it's to do with Brexit or not. I don't want to talk about that very much because I don't really have a lot else to say that we haven't heard. But I hope that they don't have to do that. The Astra is now being sort of revised, and what you'll see obviously is more PSA engineering coming to all the cars. The Insignia and the Astra are the cars that have the most General Motors engineering in them now, that the Viva and the Adam have been discontinued. I think the platform for the next Fiat Punto, I hope they wish to launch one. It could be really good if they base it on the Corsa and 208 platform. The replacement for the Tipo, which I think should come at some point, because to be honest, although I get really excited about the Fiat Tipo Saloon, I don't think it's a great car. I just think it's interesting it exists. I'd much rather recommend someone to go and buy, I don't know, a Toledo or something else, or virtually anything. The Tipo, I haven't yet driven one. I'd like to, but I've heard it's not great. I'd like to sample it for myself, but I haven't heard good things about it really. I'd like to be proven wrong, and maybe the Saloon, which will only appear in this country in the bottom two trims of the bottom engine for some reason, will change my mind, but I'm not too sure about that, as other people in my comment section have pointed out. So thank you for that. It sums up my thoughts exactly. I think with the potential return to the United States of America for Peugeot, that could be a really good thing. That could be far easier for part of FCA. The 308, Astra, and Tipo could all be replaced with one particular platform, as could the Jeep, the Alfa Romeo Giulietta. Now that's been on sale for quite some time, since about 2010, I believe it is, and it's kind of time in a newer car. I mean, the Giulietta I think is great. I don't know if they're particularly reliable or anything, but I think they are nice. They're a particularly handsome car. So yes, there's obviously things that can be left alone, particularly with the sort of more American market cars will probably be left alone by Peugeot and Citroën. I think the same will be over here. I don't think the American side of things will have too much influence over here, apart from possibly maybe the second generation Renegade will be based on something like the Peugeot 2008 when the new one comes out. Who knows? Something like that possibly. But yes, potentially interesting. I'm sort of cautiously optimistic about what's going to happen, particularly with the sort of Fiat line of cars, which I know I keep going on about, but I don't see much in there that I think I have a lot of hope for without some extra engineering input. So I hope you found that video to be informative. I do apologise. My mother's in the background there. She's doing some things. I'm at her house today. And that's why it's just somebody walking around. But anyway, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment below. My website is www.lloydvehicleconsulting.co.uk. If you should source a car for you in particular, then there's a contact tab on the front page to get in touch. I've also got a Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Lloyd Vehicle Consulting. Thank you ever so much indeed for watching.